I'll just start with a comment that I see that all our presentations right now circulate around the same topic, which is very good, because mine will probably be also around the same growth mindset and etc. Okay, but let's start. So, do you know how some kids learn to ski? Some kids learn to ski this way. They put on the skiing boots, they struggle a little bit to click into the skis, and then what they do is they speed down the slope like there's no tomorrow, and sometimes they succeed and get to the bottom. And then they wait for the parent. The parent comes in after some time. He's worried about the kid, of course, but he's also catching breath, struggling to maintain balance. And yeah, this is a metaphor I will use later on, so please remember that. For now, my name is Wiktor. Hello. I've joined Triton recently, and the IKEA team. So far, I'm having a blast. But this talk is only 20 minutes, so the one thing you need to know about me for now is I mostly worked with frontend. So let's go. This talk will get a little bit technical at some point, but also what it will have is some cliche quotes. That's why I have this. But yeah, so just get ready for some cliche quote. Cliche quote number 1. People don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And I don't mean just some boring ideas you have every day. I mean awesome ideas that get hold of you for hours on end, and you need to get through them, or just you get tired of them and forget them. This kind of ideas happen to, I guess, everyone, and one day it happened to me. My idea was something like this. Similar people like similar music. That's quite straightforward, but it gets a little deeper than this. It's hard to find a person who doesn't enjoy music, but at the same time, it's easy to find two people that don't enjoy the same song or the same genre even, which is very interesting. This, I hope it animates, is our brain on music. An fMRI scan is going on, analyzing patient's activity of the brain while he's listening to a piano concert. And you can see their brain just fire off in so many places. Fun fact, this is just a fragment of the whole examination. What happens at the end of the examination is the piano concert ends, everybody claps, patient listens to it, and their brains gets activated again in a very furious manner. So I think what we can do is activate some brains. What do we say for activating some brains? By clapping, of course. Our brains just turned red for a while, so this would look a little bit like this. Okay, but let's get back to the program. And so we have this idea. We have also a hypothesis. Maybe if two people like the same song because it activates their brain in a certain manner, maybe also another person who enjoys the song will somehow connect to the first person better. Somehow maybe they can talk easier, have similar interest. Let's find out. So the idea crystallizes. Idea is like this. Guess this. Let's make an app to find cool people to talk with. And if you ask AI for some pictures of cool people, it gets you this. But I think I found a better one. So the idea somehow has form now. We're looking to make an app to find cool people to talk with based on their music taste, where the data source is Spotify API. Again, quite straightforward. But when you have this in mind and you have a developer's mindset, I think you can get yourself into a trap, which I call defaulting to perfection. What do I mean by this? I mean something like this. For the app, we'll need Spotify integration. Yes, that's fine. We'll need some user accounts. We'll need notifications, maybe chat, app, swiping. We'll need, what else is there? Very scary to implement chat, and some payments for premium accounts because we want to fund all of this infrastructure. And this gets very complicated. Seems ideal, yes, but I don't have time for this. I probably cannot implement half of the things because these are some difficult problems. So we need to have another approach. Cliché quote number 2. Done is better than perfect. Okay, done is better than perfect, so let's make this done. We'll use something called simplification. Instead of chat, instead of notification, we just use email. Instead of app and swiping and all of this, we'll just have a little backend and some maybe some automation. And we'll simplify some things with the design too. Will anyone like this? Well, I'm not sure. Will this even work as intended? There's only one way to find out, I think. So there goes another quote. Sometimes the only way to do it is to just do it. I warned you for some cheesy quotes coming in, so this is one of them. Okay, so we made some simplifications, but how to actually technically do it? So for design and illustrations for the app, let's say, we'll use the fact that I like working with CSS, but also some AI illustrations to go along. For email, we use a postmark integration, which just is an email service. Works very well, easy to work with. And for a little backend, which turned out not to be this little, it was a challenge for me. It was something to overcome because as I mentioned before, or did I mention it? I am a front-end person. I worked with front-end most of the times. But hey, the project demanded it, so let's go. I chose AWS because I at least touched it before in my life, so now let's see how now we get a little technical and see how the implementation actually works. It's a weird way to show this, but I wanted to make a cool animation. I'm not sure if it ended up this way, but hey, let's go through it. There is an S3 instance which serves a simple HTML website for the shiny Google Chrome browser of the user. The user authenticates with Spotify SSO and gets us a token to L1 to Lambda function, which in turn goes to Spotify, asks for all the songs that the user likes, and grabs them and gets them to two places. No, to one place, to graph database as visualized here. We also still save some user contact information for later on just regular database, DynamoDB or something. Okay, so the left part works. What happens next? One day, let's say it's Tuesday, we go to the graph database and we look for, because a few words about the graph database. There is two types of nodes in the graph database, a user node and a song node. User is connected to all the songs they like, and one song can have many connections of users, so then we can figure out, okay, there is two users and who have plenty of songs in between them, so hey, they have similar musical taste. Let's use it. So one day, L3 gets fired by some job, or I don't know the full terminology, but hey, it goes to the graph database and asks for every person to assign someone else that has the most connections of common liked songs. It then makes a list of people who have the most for this particular person and stores the list into the database. Then another day comes in, let's say it's Thursday, Lambda function number 4 fires and gets the list that we've just created on Tuesday and sends emails, our notifications, to all the users that are interested. There's some queues denoted by Q letter, which prevents us from abusing the Spotify API. So we just limit the rate of using it. Limits us from abusing the throughput of the databases, so we don't use out our database too much, and limits on the throughput to the API of post-mark integration. That's in essence how it works. That's my naive approach, at least. As a front-end engineer, I'll be happy to get all of the opinions and some knowledge from you, because it saves me AWS dollars, which will be very nice. Let's get back to the presentations, because we have 2 more problems, at least, that I see. Problem number 1. This is the full graph, because I had to make it simpler. Problem number 1. AWS runs on money. It runs on money, so even having these instances just laying around, it costed me about $40 a month, which is way too much. Again, maybe some mistakes on my part. So what's the solution for it? The solution is... Thank you. I approached it differently. But good, I'll write it down. What was it again? So my approach was, hey, make yourself a birthday present, run it for 2 months, see if anyone even likes it, because why not? And also link to buy me a coffee foundation page, which is linked in the footer. Problem number 2, which I think is even more complicated, is this day when we go into the graph database to look for the common connections, we have to basically go through all of the users and compare them to each other user, which is something we like to avoid. It's very complicated problem. In fact, it's O(n) squared complicated, which is a thing that if we don't really have to 100%, then we never do as developers. But yeah, what's the solution here? I mentioned it briefly. We make it once a week. We make a user wait for a week for the notification to come. My justification for it is, hey, maybe the user finds it more valuable just because they had to wait for some time for it. Yeah? What else is there? So in essence, by all these simplifications, cutting costs, Google-driven development, and some actual work, I arrived at this simple service, which is called Dalma. So what is Dalma? Dalma is a website where you sign up to receive emails. Easy. Do you remember this first approach, the ideal approach that we had with apps, notifications, and chat? Well, it all distilled down to a website where you sign up to receive emails. That's something I can do. Of course, there is some logic at the backend, but that's what users see at the front. But before I give you the URL, because it exists, I'll touch on the next problem, which is like a conclusion of this whole talk. And Dalma is just an instance of how it, maybe I once overcame it. I was having a talk with one of you about 2 weeks ago, and they said to me something like this. Knowing about how the ideal solution works stops me from making a simple one. Shall we? I had this approach for a while, which stopped me from even trying few things in the past. That doesn't mean the things would turn out very good, but it would mean that I wouldn't learn the things I would have otherwise. So if there is one thing I would like to take from this talk is another quote, which is, please make something non-ideal. If anybody likes it, you can always make it a little better. Still not ideal, but a little better. So yeah, that's the message. Now to the URL. Disclaimer, I didn't give you the URL for 2 reasons just yet. First, not to distract you from this presentation. Let's get back a while. not to distract you from this presentation, but also because I have to whitelist your email for now. You'll get on the website, please look through it, read what it's all about, but just before registering, please call me, write me on Slack or email. I have to whitelist your email. This is how the Slack's API works for the first stage. I may have this figured out by the next week, but for now it's like this. So by saying this, I think this arrives me at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, we already have a question. Here we go.
Did you bring this instrument from Poland?
I had this lying around here. No, I actually found a deal on the Bolha, did you call it? But I always wanted to have it, so.
Does it help you?
Make points? Definitely. Develop? I should try. I'll bring it to the office maybe.
Every time you have a good idea, just...
Yeah.
Every time you come up with a cliche.
Yeah.
How do you figure out the similarities? How do you, like, where do you put the limit or the requirement for this?
I see. For now, I don't. I just take all of it. This would be one good approach to maybe just focus on at least, not to get the best one, but to get a roughly good candidate for the match. I call match if someone has plenty of similar likes between. So it's just finding this path. You have one user, second user, and then you go through the relations by the song's nodes. So that's how it works. It runs on the Node4j database, so it does it on its own. But it takes time.
So what's the threshold? How many songs do I need to have it?
Good question. It's on FAQ on the website. It's about, I'd say, 50 maybe is enough. Of course, the more the better. But from the system perspective, it doesn't have any limits. But the lower limit, I would say you need about 50 or 100.
Thanks.
Does anyone else?
I mean, wouldn't it be the best to put a machine learning algorithm on it and then look for all the similarities, connections, and then it's easier to scrape new users from the Spotify API and then make a connection so it's not so heavy?
I'd like to talk to you about this later on, but just to tell you, each user that joins has to explicitly give permissions, to get their data.
So I get that, but when you scrape then the user, his data, it's much faster to find a match because you have already all the connections from the algorithm that you already put, let's say, on all the songs on Spotify.
Yeah, okay, if I understand it correctly, the user just signs up and I do the job at the same moment? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you could have the algorithm to make the connections between the songs or which one are similar, let's say, in taste beforehand.
I see.
And then when the user comes, it's way faster to find the perfect match rather than going through all the songs of the user and then making the matches on the fly.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Very cool idea. I just don't know how to make it, but... yes, very cool idea. Yes.
Just the idea.
Have you pitched this idea to Spotify?
Just to tell them, hey, I need your full API access. So it's only that.
But doesn't Spotify already do some, not the matching of people, but they will match songs that you're gonna like.
Yes.
And then if other people already like those songs, maybe there's an API that you can use.
Sure. I use this, and it turns out like half of the likes they suggest is actually something I like, maybe a little less, but it's not like something direct. Because imagine a conversation, right? You're speaking with some person and they just speak about this one tune, which is really obscure, but you also like it. That's like a start of a conversation, right? That's what I'm looking for here.
It would decrease complexity.
Yeah, Yeah, but it would also decrease value at some point.
Is this a start of a dating app?
I mean, you can use it in a variety of ways, sure.
That's similar to my question. Do you and your girlfriend like the same kind of music?
She doesn't use Spotify that much, not to like hundreds of songs as I do, but I hope so.
You should buy a family plan.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
Does Spotify have SSO?
Yes, I mean SSO. It's more like authentication by their side. Like you can sign up with, so actually SSO, you can sign up to different apps by using your Spotify account. It's just not very popular. It's mostly used for apps that have some relation to music anyway, right? That's why we don't see it everywhere.
Yeah, and other comments you can, were mentioned here, so you could cut down your cost by using serverless. You can use serverless services on AWS. You can use, for example, Cognito for IAM, for authentication, and API gateway, and
there is some
Lambda.
of it. I just maybe say something else. This generates the most cost. It's an EC2 open for...
you can use Neptune. That's
Okay.
graph database managed, and it has serverless options as well.
Nice, good to know. See, that's why I'm making this talk in the first place.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you again, Wiktor. Another round of applause.